I'm going to call to order the Policy Committee meeting for December 17th, 2015. We have in attendance Ms. Heil from DEC, Mr. Flynn from the Assembly. Mayor Berkowitz is being represented by his Chief of Staff, whose name I've already forgotten.
Suzanne Fleet Green.
Suzanne Fleet Green, thank you.
You won't have to remember it for that long.
Let me just write it down. So that I'm at my age, I can't remember much. So, as always, we like to engage the public in our meetings. Mr. Lyon has become an expert at our public involvement statement. Could you please carry forth?
I just thought you'd give your opportunity, have your opportunity to say it.
No, an old dog can't learn new tricks.
All AMATS meetings are public, open to the public, and the public is invited to comment. If you have a business item, we'll have presentation by a staff or a consultant, and then the committee will have an opportunity to discuss it, and then the public will be invited to comment.
Thank you. We have before us a cheerful green agenda, which has been presented as our course of business for today.
Move to approve?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Do we have any corrections, Mr. Flint or Mr. Lyon, from your perspective? I'll get to you in a minute.
Just to add an informational item on our MTP, interim MTP.
A general information item, so that would be item B,
Yeah.
and that would be an update on our interim MTP?
Yes, sir.
Any objections to that addition?
Nope.
Seeing none, any other additions that anybody would like to, any objection to the agenda as presented and modified? Seeing none, we'll accept this agenda as modified. We now have a very light order of business, approving our non-existent minutes, so we'll skip that. Action item number A then. Mr. Lyon.
So our work program is what is our business item today. And as you remember, for the work program, this is staff time spent on projects throughout the year, not capital projects, just staff time. And the Federal Highways Administration, when they're looking at this program, they will reimburse us up to 110% of what we program in each element. And I provided you with this bigger sheet as well, which is the budget to actuals. So this is as of the 15th of December. And so that kind of shows you where we are. In the far right column, you will see under the 100 element, it says 89.89. Put my glasses on, I'll really tell you. 89.02%. So that says we're at 89% of what we projected to spend in the 100 element. These numbers are, they would be what it would be if you approve today's amendment. So the 104.75 in the 200 element, basically today's amendment would be to move $20,000 out of task 110 in the 100 element and move that down into task 232, the bicycle plan, in the 200 element, so that we get under the 110% level. If you look at the very bottom right number there, bottom, the 94.76, that's the amount of money that we are, as of the 15th, that's how much of our total budget for the year that we are projected to spend. It'll creep up just a little bit due to the one more pay period coming in, but basically that's as close to 100% of spending this that we've ever been, and that partly due to having 4 full-time staff members on board and myself. So happy to answer the questions, but basically we're just moving some monies around that we already have. We're not changing the total budget, we're just moving them from the 100 element into the 200 element, so we stay under the 110%.
Okay, thank you. Anybody from the public have any comments or questions on this issue? Seeing none, Mr. Flynn.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I don't see any issue with this. I didn't go through it prior to the meeting. Is there a way we can amend how we do business so that this seems like the sort of thing that could be more of a general information item as opposed to a business item? I don't know if our friends at FTA and FWA, maybe FWA allow that, but.
So I'm going to ask Craig, is this part of our operating agreement that we
This is part
take
of
this at
our
this level?
policies and procedures that say,
So-
different.
Okay.
In this case,
And
the money we took out of the 100 element would have been a minor amendment that staff could have approved
Right.
because of the percentage of the total task. But moving it into the 200 element, that task 233, the bike plan was at 8,000, we're putting 20,000 in there, so it was, you know, obviously
It's a percentage issue.
percentage of it, that our policies and procedures that the AMATS policy committee adopted before I got here was, if it's that amount, it needs to go to the policy committee for approval.
So I think the answer to your question is yes, we could amend that, and probably the easiest way to do it would be to change something in the wording from
Percentage
the,
to,
the lesser of the two to the greater of the two, or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Because right now, that we've got two different thresholds, it's a percentage threshold and a dollar threshold. And what got caught us on this one was the percentage threshold, so if we wanted to look at that,
okay, well, I've done that before, so.
we, in quotes, wanted to look at that, we could.
Am I being tasked, Mr. Chairman?
I'm just saying that a motion brought before this body that was well-researched and well thought out would have a much better success chance than just talking about it here in broad
Okay.
daylight.
All right, that's all, that's my only question.
Okay.
I've managed to gently tweak our policies and procedures periodically over the years, so I'd be happy to take a look at that.
Okay? Mr. Steele, you've had an opportunity now to take your
To
breath.
peruse. There's a lot of numbers on these pages.
Yes, there are. Do you have any questions or concerns, or would you like to?
I don't at this time. I'm going to
Okay.
take my lead from Mr. Flynn, since he's obviously the expert.
Gentle.
Ms. Heil, anything? Oh, perfect timing. Mr. Mayor, any comments on the motion?
I'm supportive.
Well done. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, with that, I'll move approval of item 5A.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion from anyone? Any objection to unanimous consent on that? That motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
We now move on to, I believe, general information, which is item A, the 2015-18 TIP Amendment Mod number 7 memo and tables.
Yes, so this particular item is just informational because of the dollar figures that were involved in this. This only required the technical committee's approval, and so it's here before you for information purposes, and then we'll send it on down to DOT headquarters and then FHWA for approval. Basically, if you look at the memo, the two actions that we're doing, we are moving some monies around in the roadway table to show the amount of AC that we're doing, to just reflect the project status. And I'm not, Mr. Campbell, you know more about the status of that project than I would, but that's the idea, is we're just changing the amounts of the AC to reflect to balance the tip as a whole.
Exactly.
In Table 5, we're doing a couple of things related to our next efforts on the update to the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. We've included some money, $35,000 to be exact, from 2017 into 2016, related to the travel demand model update that we're doing, to include another model run related to basically the network with and without the Kinnickarn crossing. So seems like it's a topic that has some interest, and the idea would be, let's do the modeling up front so we're not trying to add it later, so we can have the hard numbers with us. And then we're also adding some money into 2016 to reflect the cost for DOT to update the projects that are in the MTP that are on DOT facilities. The lion's share of the ones that we have in the MTP are on DOT facilities, and so this is additional funds to allow their staff to go through and update those project costs so they reflect rate of inflation and all that sort of stuff. Those are the two things that we are changing, the stuff in Table 3 and stuff in Table 5, and the TAC approved it at their December 3rd meeting, so it's before you for informational purposes. You can answer questions, but that's basically what we're asking you to do, is just look at it, and if you have questions, we'll answer them.
Okay, well, let's just see if we have any questions. Does anybody from the public care to make a question or a comment about this informational item? Stone faces. Okay, Mr. Steele, would you
I
have
have
any
no
comments?
questions.
Mr. Flynn?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thanks. I guess my only question is, are we comfortable that, specifically related to the MTP update, that the dollars we're spending in 16 will not then therefore be needed in 17? Or are we simply making a shift to make the tip balance and then have additional expenditures in 17?
Well, the RFP, we're in the middle of drafting the RFP for the next effort on the update to the MTP. And that's going to start in 2016. When we originally had this money shown in 2017, it was with the idea that we would be farther along with the main update, and we would have had the main one done last year. As you know, instead we did an interim one to bridge the gap.
Oh, I know.
With the idea that, I mean, the original plan was we would have adopted it in the 2014-15 timeframe, and the next time we would have started was the 2017. Now, because of the interim one, we're not going to be doing that next one in 2017, and it may be 2018 or 19. So the 2016 is the main one. If we move it out of 2017, where it was kind of parked for the next one, and use it there, we can make sure that the effort that we get done for this next MTP update is full-blown, good project costing, and enough model runs so we don't have to kind of do that. I think the opportunity will be there if we need to add more in 27. Well, it'll be farther than 2017 because that's kind of the time frame for when we're going to adopt this one. Maybe late 2017, early 2018, the next one. So it will probably be in the next tip cycle when we have money for the MTP update after this one we're currently working on the RFP for.
Can I clarify, Mr. Chairman?
Feel free.
So, what I think I heard was that the money we're pulling from 17 into 16 will be sufficient, that we won't need those dollars in 17 because we will not have an MTP update at that time.
Should have said it like that. That's much better.
That sounds to me like the current plan. Let's not guarantee.
Presuming.
Yes. Yeah.
No jinxing allowed.
Yeah, okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Heil, anything? Mr. Mayor?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you for that informational item then, Mr. Lyon. Next on the list is our update of the MTP, which would be item B, I guess.
Sure. So we did receive our final approval letter from FHWA saying that our interim update, they approved the air quality conformity, and they sent that a couple weeks ago, I think, maybe a week and a half ago, to let us know that our efforts were meet the gold stamp for approval. So just wanted to let you know that once it gets approved by the policy committee, it then goes through the process, and we've received the final approval letter.
So it's our new date, right? We have 4
So
years.
that is our new date.
We have 4 years from
the
now
letter.
to get our next update completed and submitted.
We're going to take every minute of it.
That's more than likely.
No. No.
And also related to the interim MVP, we were nominated for an award with APA Alaska and won the Transportation Plan Award for it. So we now can literally say we have award-winning staff at AMATS. So the work done by Vivian Underwood and Aaron Young-Nalen at DOT and Brian Hill with PTS, no, PDC. I had the wrong initials there, PDC. So we got an award at their annual conference.
And what was our award for transportation planning?
Transportation Plan Award.
Okay.
Any money?
There's a very nice trophy or creature there. So.
Okay, well, congratulations. So it's nice to have some recognition of the work we're doing. Okay, is that the complete update then that you wish to give?
I think that's it.
Okay, so we now move to the part where there's always the potential for something really interesting to be said, which is the committee comments prior to closing. Mr. Peterson, would you care to make any committee comments, even though you're kind of technically the alternate? We'll give you an opportunity to voice any thoughts you may have about our...
Well, I just apologize for being late for the meeting. We were in another meeting that ran over, so. But I don't have any other comments other than
Okay.
that.
Mr. Steele?
Good job. I'm glad to see the money in there for Spenard Road, even though
So close.
Even though we encourage folks to vote for the bond package that we will be going forward with.
Thank you. Mr. Flynn? Ms. Heil?
Just want to wish everybody happy holidays.
Mr. Mayor? I've got a few comments. I guess I think we've had a pretty good year this year. We've had some interesting discussions on things. I appreciate the work that we've put in as a committee. I certainly appreciate the TAC and the support team that's behind the TAC. You guys have done a great job, and you make our job much easier by doing the thorough work that you do in front of us. Makes our life a little easier up here. So I appreciate all the efforts we've put forward in the last year as a team. The other piece of information is a little bit personal, but I will be retiring as of the 31st of December. So you will not have to put up with my sense of humor in this committee any longer. Be that a positive or a negative, I don't know. I've had a long ride at DOT. I've been there over 34 years. Worked in a lot of different jobs, a lot of different levels of the organization, and I don't think there's any one thing. I just look at it as more of a cumulative damage effect than a particular incident that has triggered this action. Certainly wasn't anything that you guys had done, so don't feel in any way responsible. I enjoyed this committee probably more than most of the other things I've done at DOT. So, of course, the commissioner will be naming a acting director who will probably sit here, and if not, Jennifer Witt, who is our TAC representative, our planning chief, will probably be here next month. One of those two people will be here. So I wish you all a happy holiday season, and we'll see you around town, maybe on the bike trails or somewhere, instead of in an office with a shirt and tie on.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
before you slip away.
Now
So
it comes out.
we did get, some information about you slipping out on us.
Oh.
And we wanted to, in a small way, provide you with our thoughts. For me personally, I have chaired my school's PTA for about 5 or 6 years now.
Mhm.
And the person who did it before me had a different style, and their meetings lasted three plus hours.
Mhm.
But for me, watching you as a chair has allowed all those meetings to be about 2 hours exactly,
Mhm.
which I'm sure you can guess has made it so I'm never going to not be the chair there because they like the meetings at 2 hours instead of 3 hours. So
Yeah.
I appreciate the brevity of the meetings and how concise these meetings have been. I have a resolution here for you. I can read it, which I'm sure you'd love me to do, or I can share it with you, but we do appreciate your time here and your 10 years chair. It's been.
Is there any humor in that resolution?
I tried a little bit. I talked to some of your folks over there, but.
Well, by all means, let's read the resolution. If it was going to be weepy or anything, I don't want to hear it.
No,
But
it's not.
It's
No, we
got a
don't do
sense of
weepy.
humor to it. I
No.
appreciate it.
It says, whereas Rob Campbell has proven himself an invaluable asset to AMATS by the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities, and whereas Mr. Campbell has over 34 years of experience with DOT, including design, group chief, pre-construction, design and construction director, regional director, and whereas Mr. Campbell has demonstrated outstanding dedicated service during his tenure with the AMATS Policy Committee, whereas Mr. Campbell served on both the AMATS Technical Advisory Committee and the AMATS Policy Committee for many years. I will say that your humor was a little different at the TAC. You seemed to be a little more free with the zingers, but that's just a side note.
Responsibility.
Yes. Whereas
It's a
Mr.
burden.
Campbell chaired the AMATS Policy Committee from February 2011 until present with precision, fairness, and professionalism, generally keeping meetings to an hour or less, which was very much appreciated by fellow PC members and staff alike. And now, therefore, the AMATS Policy Committee recognizes and honors Rob Campbell, and be it resolved that the AMATS Policy Committee thanks Rob Campbell for his years of state service. Be it further resolved that the AMATS Policy Committee wishes Rob Campbell the best for a retirement filled with fishing, family, running. I don't know if you fish.
Perfect.
but Seems a
Sounds
nice
great.
service here in Alaska. And be it further resolved that AMATS host Mr. Campbell will remain involved in his community and will continue his efforts to make Anchorage a great place to live. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Very
And
nice.
while we don't have AMATS mugs at the
Yeah.
moment, we do have a nice AMATS pin for you, so get that as well.
Appreciate it. Okay, well, thanks for the sentiments.
Before you gavel out, Mr. Chairman, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And even though we haven't always been in complete accord.
I would say that's understating it.
I wish you all the best. And
Thank you.
I hope whatever steps you take next are fulfilling and interesting.
I suspect they will be one way or another. Thanks. Mr. Steve.
Keep track of it. There's usually a vacant seat here and there if you wish to come and
Laugh.
tell us how well we're doing. But just just to echo the point on running the meetings, you've done a great job.
Thank you.
With the new guys and bringing us along, so I certainly appreciate it. And the pressure's on whoever takes your place.
Yeah, well, I've set the bar at a certain level. Now you're at this high or low. All right, with that, I thank you all for your sentiments, and we'll see you around. We're adjourned.